I am 35, and will I be able to learn a language at this age? Because because we have heard that, or we know that children usually acquire the language faster, right? So, hello, ma'am.
Hello, Parth. Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you so much for coming on this podcast, and I'm really grateful that you are here today because teachers from Alliance Française, they are like really experienced, really good with the language, and I am sure you will be having so many things, so many authentic information to share with the people. And I'm sure people will also be, looking forward to listen to this podcast. This is going to be a meaningful conversation, right? So I'm super excited to have you here.
Thank
And
you so
I
much, Parth.
just really want you to, just quickly, maybe you can introduce yourself so that people will come to know more about, your profile.
Thank you, really. Thank you so much for having me here. It's such a pleasure. So, my name is Madhuri Welling, and I've been teaching at the Alliance Française in Bangalore since 2015. So, April 11th, which is coming up, it'll be my 10th year. Like, I finished my 10th year. But in terms of my French language journey, I started that in 2009. I still remember the date. It's the American Independence Day. So it was the 4th of July in 2009. And, one day my mom just decided to enroll me at the Alliance because I was actually a law student. And on the weekends, I had a long, like a long weekend, and I had a lot of time, and I really didn't know what to do with it. So instead of wasting time, I figured, let me go learn something new. So
Hmm.
that's how my journey with French began. And my first teacher, Miss Aisha, she's no more. But, she always stays with me in my heart because she was brilliant, a brilliant patient educator. And she was really my inspiration to become a teacher. I would have been a lawyer otherwise, but, I decided to take up French teaching because she inspired me so much.
Amazing, ma'am.
Yeah.
I think same is the case with me also. Uh, I'm a teacher. I'm a French language teacher now. I mean, it's been 5 years approximately,
Mhm.
and I'm really enjoying this profession. And I gained this interest just because of my two favorite French teachers at Alliance Française de Chandigarh, because I have completed my French language studies from Alliance Française de Chandigarh, and I have completed my 7.1 level from there. And I gained interest in teaching French because of my two favorite teachers, Neha ma'am and Vandana ma'am. And they are, they are like 25. They are having experience of more than 25 years in, French teaching now. Uh, and they are the inspirations, to be honest. I really, I'm really copying the pedagogy. I mean, I'm copying the teaching methodology that that using which my teachers taught me, and now I am taking it forward to teach my students, and train other people also.
And
So
basically just transmit the knowledge, right? I mean, you want your students
absolutely,
to have the best. So I
absolutely.
think I do that too. So there's in my teaching also, there are a lot of elements, that I've borrowed or, I've been inspired by from my teachers.
Absolutely.
And I think this is normal and it's great that you're doing this.
That's Thank you so much, ma'am. And anything else, ma'am, really that you want to like highlight some of the like the key achievements in your life with the language?
Yeah, so actually, like I said, right, initially I was training to be a lawyer. I have completed my BLLB from Bangalore University, University Law College. But then French happened and I decided to become a French teacher. But before that, my first job was with the French embassy. So basically, I was the education advisor and regional head for Campus France. That's basically part of the French embassy in Delhi, but my office was in Bangalore. It's to promote higher education in France.
Hmm.
So
Thank
I was their officer for 2 years from 2013 to 2015.
Okay.
And that's where I decided, in 2015, earlier in 2015, to become a teacher at the Alliance. But I was teaching anyway from the last year of my law course, right? So I've been teaching privately with private tuitions, working, with private clients since
Mhm.
2012. So overall, I think I have 13 years of work experience so far in the French domain with the French language. So, apart from my French language teaching journey, right? I have worked with the French embassy. I've worked also with a corporate called Swiss Re. It's a Swiss firm, but I used to work with the French and the African market. So
Got
I
it.
will come to why French is important and all of these details a little later as we progress in the podcast. But I'd like to say that French is really widely spoken, right? So there are a lot of career prospects. Yeah. So apart from that, I've also taught in schools, in universities and colleges in Bangalore and pan India. I've also worked with edtech firms from Dubai. So there is really a lot that one can do. And let's not forget corporates, because you have corporate trainings, you can become part of a corporate as an employee. It depends really on what you want to do. The world really is your oyster if you know a language and if you're good at it, right?
Right. That's really great. I mean, even I am not aware about so many opportunities that are there right now. Even after staying in this field since past around 5 years now, even I am struggling to find out what more opportunities are there, where I can explore more. So I'm sure this will be like a podcast filled with the like a meaningful conversation. Then we will be moving ahead with the first phase of this podcast that is going to target the French learners. Okay. So for the French learners, I feel that it is going to be very, very important to know what inspired you to learn French and how did you achieve the C1 level, or the higher level, like higher level proficiency in the language. Because I feel that a lot of people, they start with the language, but they don't have that kind of motivation to stay and to complete or maybe reach at the higher level. They leave the language in between, or maybe at A1, A2, or maybe at max at B1 level. People used to leave the language, considering that the grammar is taking up their head, and it's getting complicated. So what kept you motivated to achieve the C1 level proficiency, and what inspired you to start learning French?
Honestly, I wasn't inspired to start learning French at all. So, like I told you earlier, right, I got into University Law College, which is a very prestigious law college in Karnataka and in India as well. Right. And on the weekends, I had a lot of free time. So I would just sort of while it away. So my mom, she was actually my inspiration. She kind of forced me into joining French class so that I'm doing something productive. And on the weekends, I decided, actually, I was forced to go to French class, but which worked out in my favor because my first teacher was amazing. She was just so passionate about, the language and also teaching the language. I've had so much fun in her class. I still remember every sequence, every day of class that I've gone to. And this was in 2009. We're in 2025. So you can imagine, right? She really had a great impact on me. And really, I wanted to be her, I can't tell you. There are some people, there are some teachers, that touch your lives and you are so inspired by it. You want to be that, right? I really did. So I decided to finish, right up from A1 to C1, just to be like her, to be able to teach like her, to make that sort of an impact on somebody else.
Right.
I'm really glad I decided to pursue it. So I finished my C1 at the Alliance. So you asked me what is required, right? What do students need? I think the ADD method, right, which is basically active participation or determination and discipline. You need to have all of these three competences or skills, prerequisites for you to be able to do anything. It's not just language learning, anything that you want to achieve, right? Apart from that, I believe personally that if you're able to, seek patterns, if you're able to see patterns, if you're able to observe well any pattern in any language or for that matter, in any field, right? Any domain that you're studying, you're able to pick it up quicker. Apart from that, the usual, right? You have to practice. It's a language. If you don't practice it, it's just going to remain in your head, passive knowledge, right? How do you make it active? By practicing. Again, when I say practice, it's not just grammar, it's not just vocabulary. It's being able to use it holistically in context. So basically, you have to be able to listen so that you're able to speak better. The better you listen, the better you're able to speak.
Right.
Then you have to be able to read and understand so that you're able to write better. These competences are linked, they're interlinked, right? So you have listening, reading, speaking, and writing, and they're all linked together.
Right, ma'am.
So, in India, generally, we do language learning in terms of only grammar or only vocabulary, but that doesn't help in real life because what is important? Why do we have a language? To be able to communicate,
Communicate.
right? As long as that communication goes through, even if there are small mistakes here and there, right? It's absolutely fine because the other person is going to understand. And in a real life situation, if you don't understand me, you're going to clarify. Right? It's a little different in the exam situation where you are expected to have, I wouldn't say perfection, but near perfection, right? Like you have to be good at what you're doing.
Right.
And how do you get there? By practicing. The other thing, what I feel you really helped me in terms of my language learning was being open-minded, and also not focusing so much on my mistakes, right? You should be open to making mistakes.
Right.
So a lot of us, we feel, maybe we feel fear or we feel small. We feel like our ego is getting hurt or bruised when we make mistakes or when somebody points it out and says, okay, listen, this is not correct. Maybe you could say it in another way, right? But I think personally, we shouldn't take it as an attack. A lot of us have a tendency to do that, but we should really, be open-minded, be open to making mistakes and be open to learning. That is how learning happens.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, I mean, none of us are born fluent in any language, right?
Correct.
We acquire it or we learn it actively over time. So you need to practice.
Very true, ma'am. And also, ma'am, one more question that just popped up in my mind right now. A lot of people are having this question. I mean, I get this question very frequently. I am 25 or maybe I am 35, and will I be able to learn a language at this age? Because we have heard that, or we know that children usually acquire the language faster, right? So a lot of working professionals, they have this question, like I have crossed 30 or maybe I am 40 right now. Will I be able to learn a language, right? So what do you have to say on that?
So I do agree with the fact that a younger brain is able to process and imbibe languages quicker, right? When you're younger, Indians are generally polyglots, right? We speak more than 2-3 languages for sure. Yeah. So usually we speak our mother tongue, maybe another language, a local language, probably English or any other language, So we are generally, our ears are tuned to languages. We are good with sounds as a culture is what I think. And in my experience, this is what I've noticed, right? I do agree with the fact that younger individuals, babies, children, adolescents, teenagers, they have a better equipped brain to be able to imbibe and process more info quickly, right? But that is not to say that if you're older, you're not going to be good at it, right? It may take you, if it takes probably a kid, maybe an hour to learn a concept, it may take you 2 hours, but you will be able to do it. Our brains are designed and are wired to be able to pick it up. But you also need to put in that much of effort.
So the timing can be maybe a bit of challenge, but
correct.
I don't think so that, I don't think so that the person who is maybe 30 plus or 40 plus will not be able to learn any language.
No, not at all. Because, in fact, I started learning German last year and I'm already in my B1 level, right? I started learning French when I was 18. So it was much easier for me. Personally, it was much easier for me to pick up French as compared to German now, which is almost, 15 years later. But having said that, if back then, 15 years ago, if, I would be able to do a concept in French in 15 minutes, learning the same concept or similar concepts in German right now, for me, it's taking about 20-25 minutes, right? This is what I believe. So that is not to say that I'm not good at it. I'm not good at picking it up, right? It's just taking me a little longer and a little more effort, but I'm able to do it, right? And that should be my motivation.
Correct.
I shouldn't compare myself with a child or myself 15 years ago, because that's how learning happens again.
Absolutely. Right? And ma'am, I think here in this case, there will be some role of distractions also, because I think younger minds, they are able to focus for a bit more longer, right?
Correct.
And when we grow older, like when we cross 30 or 35, then our capacity to stay focused reduces, I guess, if I'm not wrong.
I think so too. And like you said, you have different distractions, right?
Yes.
You have your family, you have your work, you have so many other things. Students in school, they have one specific goal, right? To
Hmm.
study, and they're good at it. So,
Correct.
but at the same time, learning a language is not like learning in school, where you have to
Hmm.
solely focus on that, right? You can choose the kind of course you want to do when you are available, but you have to practice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, and ma'am, one more question that I have for you is how the learners can decide which career path, suits them best or maybe is better for them. How to choose a better career path in the languages. Like we have teaching, we have like corporates, embassy roles. Like as you have, also, taken experience in multiple fields. So I'm sure this will be a challenge for you also in the starting, which career path to choose, whether to go in corporate, whether to go in teaching. So, what is your advice for the learners?
So my advice personally is, like I said, be open-minded, be open to trying out what works best for you. Because, as individuals, we have personal goals as well, our core values. In an ideal world, you should work with what your core values are, right? If you're extroverted, for example, you like dealing with people, then you should be in the communication sector.
Hmm.
Yeah, ideally. But again, it depends really, right? So I generally encourage people to explore all the options and see what works best.
Right.
Because some people are more focused on earning money. Some people want to derive pleasure from their work. Some people want like a mixture of both, right? So
Right.
you really can't have a fixed approach there. Try everything and see what works best for you is my advice.
Same thing, same advice I also give to the people, who ask me this question. And but I thought that maybe, like a lot of people ask me this question, okay, what are the career opportunities with the language, and how can I choose the best one for me? So I think this is the best response. People knows their strength, what are the strengths, and according to the strength, the person can then directly, dive into the cop and into the particular career path.
Correct, exactly. And our career paths are not limited to only embassy roles
Right.
or only teaching or only working with the corporate sector. There's so many more. You have people who like films, for example, but they do subtitling, right? It's
Mhm.
back end work, but it's productive.
Right.
There are people who get into translation because they like that, or interpretation. There
Right.
are so many other things, publishing,
Hmm.
right?
Even
Reviewing.
travel also, ma'am.
Travel, yes,
Traveling
definitely. Tourist guides or,
the
people who specialize in these domains.
right, right,
Right?
right.
There are multiple sectors. It's best to actually just keep your eyes open,
Hmm.
you know, and just explore all the different possibilities and see what works best for you. There's definitely something or many things which can, work for you.
Correct, correct. Now, ma'am, as a as you are a DELF examiner also now, so what common mistakes do students make in the DELF or DALF exams?
So basically, the common mistakes I believe would be not knowing what the DELF exam is to begin with, right? So, I mean, people think that, okay, it's an exam, let me go, I speak French, let me go and do the exam.
Right.
But, you should know, you should be aware exactly of what the exam's about, right? So, according to the European framework of languages, each European language is divided into 6 parts, right? So you have A, B, C, the broad levels, and then you have each level which is divided into 2. So you have
Okay.
A1, A2, the beginner's level, B1, B2, the intermediate, and C1, C2, which is the advanced,
Correct.
right? So each level tests you for different competencies in terms of your listening, reading, speaking, and writing. Grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation is evaluated in context in
Hmm.
the work that you're submitting, right? In the exam
Right.
that you're taking. So, the tasks differ from level to level. So, firstly, you need to know which, competencies you're good at by practicing, right? For example, if I'm not good at listening, I have to practice more of listening,
Right.
right? If I feel that my language is all over the place, my structure is all over the place in terms of writing, that is a competence that I need to work on,
Hmm.
right? So you have different tools to do that. Basically, you have to look first at what the exam package looks like. You have a lot of sample papers that are available. You
Right.
have the internet. Everybody has the internet now.
Correct.
So ideally, consult the internet, see what the different exams require you to have in terms of your skills, and then work on them. You also have a lot of study material that's available online. You can buy the books. You can enroll at the Alliance Française, or you have private tutors. You have language institutes. Work with a tutor, work with a trainer, probably. That will definitely help. And they'll give you suggestions as well as to how to crack these exams. Right? Apart from that, the other mistake is not managing one's time effectively. Because, in terms of exams, they want to check your accuracy in a limited time frame. Right? I may be really good at French, but I may need 2 hours to write one essay, right? But in the exam, if I have only 20 minutes, I have to see how best I can work in those 20 minutes and show off my French skills.
Right.
Right? So time management, I think, is very important. Because as a student, even I've made this mistake, right? I believed that I was good at what I was doing, and I'd spend more time on one task, whereas I wouldn't be able to finish the other 2 or 3 tasks, right? And that reflects in your scores. I mean, that's not happened to me in the actual exam, but in the mock exams, it's happened, right? So this is where, like I said earlier, you have to practice a language. And when you're practicing a language, it's better to also take the mock exams so that it'll help you with getting as accurate as possible in your work in terms of, showing off your French, because that's what the examiner wants to see to give you the maximum possible marks, and also to do it in that limited time frame to work on your time management skills.
Right.
The other thing I've noticed students doing or candidates doing is overlooking the instructions, right? You need to be able to understand the question, the instruction carefully, like properly, to be able to give an adequate response. Right? Also, when you go to higher levels of the language, you need to be able to use adequate vocabulary. You can't use a beginner's level vocabulary for a higher language level.
Correct.
Yeah. And then ignoring grammar mistakes. Not being able to correct yourself is a problem. Making mistakes is not a problem. You have to be able to identify eventually, you have to be able to identify your mistakes and correct yourself. Because the real goal of any language learning or any exam is basically for you to become autonomous. Yeah, so I think these are pretty much, most of the common mistakes that I have seen. Sometimes, we also feel that let me write whatever I can. And it's written in a very haphazard manner. That is not what French, examiners are looking for in your exam. Right? They give you tasks. These are task-based questions, which means you have a particular task. If it says invite somebody to your house, you have to have a sentence saying, please come to my house. I'm inviting you. Right? You can't say, come if you want to, for example, right? I mean, that makes no sense.